Hello, and welcome to the Piano Man's Library. I have my September reading wrap up for you. And all of these books qualify for Shorty September. And there's only 8 of them. So my page count for this month was pretty low. It's been a month. That's all I can say. It's been a month. But I had a couple of really good books, and I had one that was not. But yeah, so I'll get into it here right away. So the first book that I read, Dante's Vita Nuova, and this is his first writing. And this, I love this book. It would be an amazing book to read in the spring, early summer, young love kind of feelings. It is poetry and prose, both, for almost every section in here. It tells the story of his first seeing Beatrice when they were 9 years old. Okay, so he was in love with her, literarily at least, since they were 9 years old. And it's hard to tell what is true and not true, because in here he says how he tries to lead people to believe other things. So for the remainder of his life, that is probably something to keep in mind, that he doesn't want people to know everything. Yeah, so it is very beautiful, and I want to read this every year. So you can see what an effect it had on me. I'm working in a work in progress to rereading his Divine Comedy again. It's been several years. I loved it the first time. But I wanted to read all of his other works before I got back to that one. So that is why I got into this, and I am so glad that I did. Then I decided, well, I have this short biography of Dante, and this is right about 200 pages, so it's just a little one. But probably because the way that Dante led his life, there's most of this is a biography of all of his literary works. So, but it goes a little bit more into Beatrice, who her family was, and it was interesting, and probably because I haven't read all of the other things. Like, this is the next one that I'll be reading, Dante's Convivio. That'll be the next. And there's one other thing that he wrote that I don't have a copy of and haven't found a copy of yet. So, but I'm going to read as much as I can. That one is a little bit more serious, I understand. But this goes into Beatrice's family a little bit. There was a slight class maybe difference between the two, slight. But it talks a bit about his wife and his children in here, and what happened to them after he was banished from, exiled from Florence. So that was interesting to know, because nobody ever talks about his wife, and or his children. So that I was happy to get through. And it mentions early on this this book, Boccaccio's The Decameron, who was not even born until he was in exile, but once he became got into writing and stuff, he fought hard to get Dante's work allowed back into Florence and stuff again. So, and he was influenced as well. So this, I'm much more interested in reading now. So there's those. And then from there, I found this little book on Notre Dame by Ken Follett. And this is a really short account of the night and the days following the fire at Notre Dame. And I guess he wrote this book, and all of the proceeds were supposed to go toward the reconstruction and repairs of Notre Dame, because he loved it so much. One thing that I didn't realize at the time, but because there aren't a whole lot of experts, shall we say, in the building of cathedrals these days, because he had done an extensive amount of research for the writing of this book, The Pillars of the Earth, the news media took him to be an expert, and he was on all the news, which I didn't even notice at the time. So, yeah, that was interesting, and I'm glad I read that one. One of the prompts on my bingo that I'm working on is female pirates, and so I've DNF'd a couple books on the subject already, and but I picked up this little one right here, and I recommend that people don't buy this. That is not something you'll hear me say, but this particular edition, you might as well just go to Wikipedia, because even the little bit that's in here, there's mostly information that's repeated numerous times, and it's just not, it's not worth even the little bit I paid for it. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. The Piano Man was in the city, and he decided to pop into the McKay's to pick up, we needed a couple books for our daughter for school. And he found this book, which I could also use for one of the prompts on my bingo. But do you see this price? 5 cents a piece. So he picked up 3 copies so that we could all read them. And I had not read this one before. So that was a fantastic read. This is the anniversary edition, so it's much more than the actual book. Because the actual book only is 158 pages. So, and then there's a bunch of commentary on his writing of the book and previous editions, etc. So, yeah, that was good to have. The next one that the Piano Man bought, and he read it, and then I had to read it right away, was The Prayer That Will Save Your Family. And it's just a tiny little book. But it goes into Saint Bridget of Sweden. There's her biography, her life, and this prayer that she was given. It's a 12-year prayer, and it is truly fascinating. I didn't know anything about her before. I don't know how, but I didn't know anything about her before. And then this prayer that she had that has never been disputed, even when she was canonized. There's been several popes who have upheld this prayer. So, but I mean, there's no guarantees to the prayer, because you have to have a change of heart. You can pray for your family as much as you want, but if they aren't living life the way that God intended, and would like them to, then that is on them. But yeah, so this was very, very good. The next one that I picked up was Edith Wharton's Ethan Frome. And this was my first Edith Wharton. And this book is going to have me thinking for quite a while. It's good. It's a human nature, and the struggles of doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, and yeah, it's good. I recommend this one if you haven't read it. And then the last one that I just finished was The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey. And this was a good little book. I love a good crime mystery. And this one, okay, so it was printed in 1951. The story itself takes place in that current time, but they were investigating something that happened about 400 years before. So it was good. It was good how they came to find out all this information. It highlights the problems with history books. You must know who wrote them and why. Even today, that is a problem. You need to know who writes the books that you read, and what angle they're coming from. Yeah, but it was very good, and I will be rereading this again someday. So I think that is all of the books that I read. I have a couple others that were started that I haven't finished yet. Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground. I'm about halfway through that one. I'm reading one of Flannery O'Connor's stories, books, Wise Blood, her first, and that, I can't wait to talk about that. Yeah, so, oh, and Shake Timber. I didn't finish my Shakespeare either. So, I will be finishing them though, all of these, and tell you about them when I get to that. So, thank you very much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this at all, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. And then you can find out what else I'm reading. So, and what I think of it. So, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.